Welcome to Versus, episode 11. We're moving forward. I'm John Maher, and that's Will Cohen. How are you feeling this week, Will?
It's kind of been a wild ride. A little behind the scenes. I went on vacation for like nearly 2 weeks, and so the last two episodes that aired, episodes 9 and 10, we did pretty much back to back, so we could have them ready for this. So this is the first episode I had that we've done post me being back, and after watching this, that makes me really wish I was on vacation again, actually.
Yeah, basically this is the third of 5, so we're a little more than halfway done. This is Tooth Fairy 3, or Tooth Fairy: The Last Extraction.
How have you been since our last session?
I struggle sometimes at night. Restlessness. Mostly memories.
What kind of memories?
There are flashes and moments. Sometimes I just get the feeling that some memories should stay locked away.
Corey, it is collection time.
Guys, maybe my dad did have something to do with all of this.
You don't have to do this if you don't want to.
No. Come on. We offer you this tooth, and we ask for your presence.
Let's just front load all this stuff. All right, so they must have lost the costume for the Tooth Fairy, because that's not the same Tooth Fairy from the first 2 movies.
No.
They do kind of explain it with a throwaway line in this movie that it could take whatever shape it wants.
Legend says that if a demon is resummoned from hell, they return stronger and changed in appearance.
Okay, cool, yeah, but whatever. They also it's the same character. That's Corey. Corey, who was a post-college student in the second movie, now is the father to a 17-year-old girl. So we're talking, even though they claim we're only like 30 years gone, their math is all fucked up because Corey hadn't even impregnated anybody by the end of Tooth Fairy 2.
Right.
So 17 plus a pregnancy, like, we're beyond the 30 years, but whatever. The telephones and computers, however, exactly the same 15 years. So we've gone through 30 years of time, 30 plus years of time. Technology has not moved on.
Yeah.
Will, your initial thoughts?
Yeah, it's glad to know. I'm glad to know that like between like 2050 and 2060, technology is just going to somehow plateau. It makes me feel really good about my generation not getting the flying car. It also, it's like, I feel like they're making the same mistake over and over again, and just almost reveling in the fact that they're just making the same mistake over and over again with making these films. It's like, okay, we might just want to patent this as the ITN formula.
Yeah.
Weird demonic shit gets summoned, weird demonic shit kills people, end film.
Yeah, I think here, let's go through the timeline real quick. So in Tooth Fairy, the way you defeated the Tooth Fairy was you allow the Tooth Fairy to possess you, and then you have your family seal you in a room with sugar. Now, that seal was never broken, ever. So as far as I know, the Tooth Fairy is still locked in that freezer, stable, whatever the hell it is. However, in Tooth Fairy Part 2, we find out that just like in Hellraiser, I guess, there's like a item that you can use to summon the Tooth Fairy, and it's this book. And one of Corey's douchebag friends from college has the book, right? Okay, fine. You win this round, Tooth Fairy. So that book they used to summon the Tooth Fairy, and now you can just summon the Tooth Fairy anywhere. It's the Humpty Dumpty principle, right? So then at the end of Part 2, no one has that book. That book just goes away. Corey goes insane. He's obviously, they mentioned in some dialogue in this movie that Corey was institutionalized. So add that to the timeline too. So he had to go away to a mental institution, come out, beat the stigma of being a mental patient, find a woman, fall in love, impregnate her, have a child, raise her for 17 years, right? All this goes on. Tooth Fairy's not around. However, there's another book, and it's not the same book, because the first book was like a fat, like old school Stephen King paperback size. This is like a moleskin Barnes and Noble sized book, but it's the same book with the same drawings and the same incantation. And it's apparently making the flea market circuit, because in the beginning of this movie, some random girl has it. I don't know if the casting was just lazy. I'm not trying to be insensitive or, not talk about like blended families or people getting adopted, but it's an obvious black teenager, white as shit father. No mention of how that happened, though. Given what's given, it's impossible.
Kayla, I asked you to take the rubbish out.
I said I'd do it.
Like, again, another of these big mistakes that they constantly do is they could just solve the problem with just one simple line, like 3 words, like, you're my stepdad, just something to that effect. Like, especially since he comes in barging into her room, demanding shit while she has her friend over, and she's, and
couldn't they have just switched the roles of the 2 girls?
That was exactly my thought. Yeah. But then my other thought is, okay, wouldn't it have been keep the casting, make him the stepfather or adopted father, and she, being the bitchy teenager she is, blurts out the phrase, "You're not my real father."
That would have been great.
Money on the table left, people. Come on.
Well, anyway, so the movie starts, and the book does what we learn later that the girl bought it at a flea market. Whatever. This is the Z-list lament configuration, I guess, in this movie. And they just have the book, and they know now we're living in a world where everyone knows what happens. Like, the murders in the first movie are like in the public record. The murders in the second movie are in the public record. Yet people are still like, yeah, whatever, it's a bunch of bullshit. And the girl just reads the passage again, and now we're back to square one with the Tooth Fairy.
Montus egres got, nos varatus canda, amentos amengres.
First of all, the daughter takes out the trash, comes back, like, walks clearly through the door, past the washing machine, past where her father is, and goes upstairs to her room. And that's where, she goes into her bathroom, and that's where she sees her friend, apparently, who left a dead animal in there, in her bathroom.
I think what they were trying to say, okay, here, they say that. But before that, they say the rule, and this rule is important. I want you to remember it. I want everyone watching to remember it, that the Tooth Fairy can possess the bodies of people that it's killed.
They can also develop the ability to shapeshift and clone those they have most recently killed.
So there's a little tiny wacky throwaway scene when Michaela, the black girl's outside, where they just kind of put like a scream track over her walking around. And
Right.
that is supposed to be her friend, who I didn't catch her name, getting killed. So that when Michaela comes back to her room, which is down the hallway behind the kitchen, it's the same old bullshit we see in all the movies where the person just kind of like has some black eyeliner and they just talk like this and give dental advice.
Heather, why is there a dead animal in the sink?
Too much candy is bad for your teeth.
Oh, the friend's name is Heather, by the way.
Heather. Okay. So then Heather takes Michaela out.
Well, Heather's really the Tooth Fairy. So I guess the dead animal in the sink was Heather. Right?
Sure.
So then Heather morphs into the Tooth Fairy and she stabs Michaela with like, is it a candy cane? Like what the hell? It's some jagged.
Yeah, because I mean it would almost have to be a candy cane because we saw the candy canes like hanging from the weird ladder like outside the house.
Sharp ass candy canes.
Yeah. So sure, she's stabbed with a candy cane, and then all of a sudden the Tooth Fairy takes over Michaela. Now here's where things get weird. Because the very next scene, I thought this was a time jump somehow, but she literally comes in the same entrance and walks past him the same way. Did GLaDOS from Dinosaur Hotel 3 like all of a sudden show up and help her out? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, they use the portal gun. It's the portal gun. So she portal guns outside, comes
Sure.
back in. Now she's Tooth Fairy Michaela, gives Dad wacky dental advice. She basically tells him like, "Hey, don't drink that sugary stuff. It's gonna rot your teeth."
If you drink that, your teeth will dissolve. Sugar will decay your teeth.
What?
And he's not standing for that. Like, how dare you? So she goes away, and he follows her to her room because like he talked to her she talked to him very disrespectfully, telling him not to drink that sugary water. And then they do the whole scene from the first movie where she's aggressively brushing her teeth.
Whoa!
Which he's like, I'm done with this shit. Then they do this weird thing where they go in and out of slow motion, like, oh guys, look, I got Final Cut Pro. Check this out. Check this out. Check this out. And it goes in and out of slow motion for some stupid reason. And then the Tooth Fairy, he falls, and the Tooth Fairy kills him. Title card.
Which is like even by Jagged Edge ITN standards, that death was so bizarrely lackluster. Like
there's a lot of them in this movie.
You hear the good squishing sound that they typically like ADR in later. You don't hear anything. It's just and then title card. It's so weak.
Yeah. So then we meet our main characters. It's Corey. Now Corey is, like I said, is a dad to a girl who's going to college next year. Her name is what? Sally.
Sally.
And then her friend Christy, who's like boy crazy. And then their boyfriends who have to be 35.
Got enough stuff.
I come prepared.
Mum, we're just going to go inside. I've already got the key.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Benjamin and Tobias, they are old looking dudes. And these girls, I guess, could pass for teenagers. But those dudes look old.
Yeah, they actually look like the girls actually look like 17, 18 years old. The guys look like us, like, yeah, basically.
It's creepy. It's like a what do you call that? like an Idaho personal ad is basically being answered here on this show. We call that the old Idaho personal ad. But then like the dad they go away to the farm. Apparently they went away to the farm before and they caused damage and they did all teenager shit. So now Corey's like, you girls and your boyfriends. Apparently they let the girls and the boyfriends go away on their own last year. That's sus. But then this year he's like, we're gonna go with you because last year you guys did some shit. And he brings along Diane, who's just another adult who it's not his girlfriend. She has no relation to the other kids, but then like they're kind of romantically involved. Like, I didn't get the relationship between Corey and
so I was kind of going back and forth about like what their relationship was, because like first we see like some kind of like weird dream sequence where Corey is like having some kind of like picnic in the woods with his pregnant like girlfriend, wife, love interest, idahose.com pickup, I don't know. Like much younger woman too, like around his, like closer to his age at least, but younger. And she's pregnant, which I'm guessing is supposed to be
I'm guessing that's the mother of Sally's. I guess that's Sally's
exactly.
mother.
And so like, and then she goes into like what appears to be a very painful labor, and then he wakes up from like this horror nightmare.
I'm gonna lose the baby!
You're not gonna lose the baby, Jess, you're not.
Considering that the way that they have a dynamic, I'm thinking that this is either, this is Diane's, or Diane is Corey's new love interest. But they never really establish it. But what's wild,
chemistry. There's no chemistry.
But what's even more wild is that like she looks old, so fucking old that she could be Corey's mother still. Like it's so
that's par for the course for these Tooth Fairy movies.
It's kind of a weird swing. It's like, okay, like Corey definitely, Corey still looks like he could pass for, for Sally's brother. So it's like, okay, we're gonna find like we're going to find the oldest woman who is willing to pay, who's willing to like be paid in beer and Coke money, and just show up. To her credit, she's not the worst actress I've ever seen in one of these.
Fair
not
enough.
the best,
I
but
will grant that. Fair enough.
She like this is ITN mid road here, so we'll give her credit there.
So like we said, they don't want to send the teenagers and their teenage boyfriends off by themselves to the farmhouse. So they chaperone them. They do the shittiest job chaperoning them, because whenever these four just want to leave the house and do whatever the fuck they want, it's like, cool, go ahead. So they go into town. The guys are obviously old enough to buy alcohol. However, they make the girls pay for it full-fledged.
Jesus, what a pair of gentlemen.
Come on. Uh-huh. Nice one, ladies. There's a quality right there. Sharing the expense.
Okay, see you soon.
Sure. Won't be long.
They pay for all the alcohol. They let the kids camp in the woods with no supervision.
Ta-da!
Wow, I'm actually impressed.
The bar is open, girls.
Great.
Don't worry. I got your orangeade.
I asked for limeade.
Like, then if you went up there because you didn't trust them, why are you trusting them so much? But I digress. They're just lazy parenting. Lazy parenting. So while the boys are off buying alcohol, this guy who's like a scavenger, I guess, who goes to all the crime scenes, has restolen the incantation book.
Black magic.
Sally recognizes the book because it's literally the reason why her father is like infamous and the reason why he was institutionalized, and she knows it is, and her friend tells her it is, but she wants to re-summon the Tooth Fairy anyway, which makes absolutely zero sense if you've been raised in this family.
Like £10 and it's yours.
Come on, Sally, give it back. Let's go.
I'll take it.
Sally?
Thank you, young lady.
Which, you're right, it does. But what makes even less sense is the fact that this random street urchin dude also somehow recognizes the book and doesn't want to sell it to her.
Yeah, it's like, and he knows enough to tell them not to read out of it. She's clearly gonna read out of it. But this guy needs that 10. This guy needs that 10 pounds more than the lives of innocent people, I guess.
Stop. Look at the book. But never read the passages out loud.
I mean, he has to reinvest it in his like weird street urchin business somehow.
Yeah. So now they're in possession of the book, and the street urchin guy also has another homeless friend. We'll get back to her later.
Yeah.
So fast forward. Of course, they summon the Tooth Fairy, right? They just do it.
Kanda, Astrata, Montos, Eclet, Gut, Nosferatus, Kanda Amantos, Amadus.
So we got, like I said, Sally, Christy, Benjamin, Tobias, Corey, and Diane, and our two homeless folks are our characters in the book. Now, the Tooth Fairy, now, we learned in the beginning of the movie, the Tooth Fairy has to kill somebody in order to show up as their form. That rule is immediately thrown out the window. The Tooth Fairy kills nobody, but is showing up as whoever they want. So since these are two like horny 30-something-year-old fellas, the Tooth Fairy is just constantly showing up as the girls.
Morning, sleepyhead.
Christ! Babe, you scared the life out of me.
No. Only when you've brushed and flossed.
Christy hooks up with Toby, right?
Yeah.
That happens. They're complete with moaning. But then the next day, Toby goes off to take the longest piss in the world because he goes out and is like, I'm going to take a piss. And like the next 10 minutes of the movie are just like him wandering around trying to find the best place to do that. And the second he finds that spot, the Tooth Fairy shows up as Christy. And what's the right word? Seduces is the wrong word. You can't seduce somebody you've already slept with, I guess. But like she acts in a provocative manner towards him and gets him to follow her. And what happens to Toby?
Honestly, I'm now trying to remember what happens to Toby. Yes, please.
They do like a weird blindfolded taste test game.
Okay, that's right.
What are we doing?
I have some treats for you to try.
Christy is like
that's that scene.
Not Christy. The Tooth Fairy as Christy is feeding him chocolate and feeding him chocolate and feeding him candy. Then she feeds him, I don't know, like a block of shit or something. Because he's like, that tastes weird.
Nice. What else you got for me? Okay. That one was a bit strange.
And then she just smothers him.
Yeah. Now that, I don't know how I forgot that.
There's a lot of deaths in this movie where, again, the ITN, Champ Dog, Dark Abyss, Uncorked, Jagged Edge family of movies don't know shit about shit. Listen, this is free advice. When you're smothering somebody, not that I've ever smothered anybody, but I did pass biology in high school. You have to cover the fucking person's nose too. Like if you go, I can still breathe out of my nose. Even if you're shoving a brownie in my mouth, I can also eat the fucking brownie and breathe out of my nose. Like nobody should die from getting food shoved in their mouth, especially when they're closing their mouth and you're just smushing it against their lips. It should not happen. That happens multiple times in this movie. basically impossible because you're not like Victor Crowley, like ripping people's jaws open and shoving things in. You're just literally swishing candy against somebody's face. Wouldn't kill somebody.
I mean, everything leading up to this scene anyway doesn't make a lot of sense either, because like from the moaning that we are hearing, like this has got to be like at least like B level grade porn, decent sex. The next morning, not only are they both in their sleeping bags, they're both fully fucking clothed.
Where are you going?
I'm going for a piss.
Yeah, like, so I don't know what kind of like weird like Christian school shit went down, but it's not good.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely not satisfying. So like the fact that it all of a sudden wants to turn into 50 Shades of Grey yet murder, or for those paying attention, it was just 50 Shades of Grey. But yeah, the pendulum swings in wild directions is what I'm trying to get at here.
Yeah, kind of like we're like really delving deep into this movie that doesn't deserve it. So like Toby dies, right? But then like everyone's like regrouped back at the house. Nobody notices this guy isn't even around. They make mention that he went to the bathroom. It's been hours now. If it's been hours, there's a problem.
Toby not with you?
I thought it was here.
No, not seen him.
Did you see him, Rennie?
No, he hasn't messaged me either.
Come to think of it, I haven't seen him since he left the tent early this morning.
He left?
Said he was going to the loo and that he'd be back soon.
Then the Tooth Fairy has not killed Christy or Sally, but then the Tooth Fairy also takes control of Sally's body, or appears as Sally, while Benjamin's hanging out in the house, and she comes out of the freezer.
What are you doing?
Like she's in the freezer in her underwear, and she just like comes out of the freezer, and this dude Benjamin doesn't think that's weird, and then he starts doing like a nice guy routine, like, hey, we don't have to do nothing, even though like if you clearly are Sally and you're in your underwear and you're talking sexy to me and you're trying to seduce me, clearly you've made a decision.
Yeah.
And then he wants to get too close, and the Tooth Fairy just like slam dunks his head into the side of the freezer.
So we're skipping a lot of gold here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I actually took notes because we did a watch along here. So like I felt like the last episode I didn't contribute a lot, so I wanted to try and contribute more. There's just some really dumb shit going on here. So Corey has like this weird dream where he believes that the Tooth Fairy took over
Diane.
took over Kathy, no, fuck, I already forgot her name.
There's one where Diane.
Diane.
She has like staples in her face. Like
No, those are porcupine quills.
Diane.
Oh, they're porcupine quills? It makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. So, and all of a sudden he wakes up, and then Diane just like runs up to him and is like, "Oh, are you okay?" And nothing ever comes of that ever again.
There's a lot of that in this movie.
Yeah, so great. When they summon, the reason why the Tooth Fairy is summoned is easily the dumbest reason to ever summon something, because Sally and what was the friend's name again? Christy, thank you. So they're talking, and Sally really wants to summon her, but she's not, but she's on the fence about it. She's like, okay, well, if you're not going to summon the Tooth Fairy, you need to go bone Corey.
Bone,
And so basically
not her dad, Benjamin.
Oh, Benjamin, thank you. So you need to go bone Benjamin here. So basically, they're putting up the choice of summon murderous creature or statutory rape, which of course this is just
an easy decision for some people. That's an easy decision. That's what we call an Idaho handshake. That's called.
Also seen on www.idahos.com. Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, so we get that, and then we need to go back to like before all this happens. We go back to the homeless woman who looks very suspiciously like the person from Corey's dream towards the beginning of the film.
It's supposed to be her. Like that's supposed to be the mom.
Which is
it's weird. It's the same actress. It definitely is the same actress.
Yeah, which is we're not going to go.
Explains why she's like, you know me.
Corey, it's you. It's really you. I'm so glad to see you.
Hey, sorry, I don't know who you are.
It's me, Jess.
But why she wouldn't just say like, we have a child. It's your child. But I guess she's just like so far gone on the heroin because like they don't like play around with the fact that she's a junkie.
Oh yeah, no, she's off. And for some reason, she goes back. She goes back to her like stash in like some barn or whatever the fuck it was. Looking, she's and going, help! All my stuff has been stolen.
All my stuff's been nicked. Have you got anything I can use?
And the person who's in there is the Tooth Fairy for some reason.
Yeah.
And then
the Tooth Fairy would even target her. But go ahead.
Yeah, and then so Tooth Fairy goes, drugs are bad. Here, have this, and has a weird syringe of what I can only assume is like melted Jolly Rancher. Squirts it in her face. And then, for some reason, there's a fresh pan of brownies.
Yep.
That they just, again, she eventually gets smothered.
Not a bad. I mean, if you're just some junkie in who's living in a shed, dying by eating brownies, I mean that you've peaked. I think you've peaked.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a lot less painful, I guess, than dying of what you could possibly die from. But Jesus fucking Christ, it's so stupid.
Yeah. So the Tooth Fairy is kind of like haphazardly going around killing people. The other dude who like steals from crime scenes, he gets off scot-free. But then like the Tooth Fairy, Corey and Diane now know the Tooth Fairy's out and about. Benjamin has gotten his head slammed into the freezer thing. Then it possesses Sally again, even though it hasn't killed Sally. And Sally's just dealing out bludgeonings. Like people are coming to her and she's hitting them.
Well, I think by this point Sally is dead because before after we see Benjamin get bludgeoned, like she gets chased up the stairwell, and then you see the Tooth Fairy get all blue-eyed. And stuff like that as she's like slowly choking her. I think it
just possesses her because there's a moment when like Corey's talking to her later on where she like regains control of her body.
Oh, you're in there. I know you can hear me. Sally, we need you. Fighter. Come to us.
With the land and riches for the head of a firstborn.
Dad!
It's so weird. Like, this movie should either just be a slasher or it should be like a possession movie. And it like jumps back and forth between both and it just winds up being stupid. But anyway, Corey also gets hit. Corey also gets like not even left for dead. He gets assaulted by the Tooth Fairy and left for alive numerous times. It's just like... I'll be back, motherfucker. And that happens like multiple times to him in this movie. Like,
yeah,
he gets hit in the head. Everyone in the movies gets hit in the head and doesn't die.
Time to collect.
Whatever, but some people, I think Christy gets hit in the head and she does die, and then Diane gets hit in the head, and Corey gets hit in the head, and Diane and Corey are tied to chairs.
Well, so Christy doesn't get hit in the head.
Oh, she gets hit in the face.
No, well, she gets hit in the face, but she doesn't die from that. She's dragged into the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
And then she's like she's like held over, and because she doesn't like orangeade, apparently her kryptonite is orangeade. So like the Tooth Fairy puts a giant ass funnel in her mouth, pours a shitload of orangeade in there. Once again, ignoring the fact that these are still working, and spits out all the orangeade, it still dies.
They gave her the old Michael Rosenbaum from Urban Legend treatment.
But at least he swallowed that shit.
Yes. Anyways, that wraps it up to like a package now. And now all they're doing is splicing in scenes from like Tooth Fairy and Tooth Fairy 2. And like, it's like, okay, what the fuck are we doing? Are we? And they lead you to believe that like Corey's going to enact the thing and put the Tooth Fairy in himself. And like, honestly, I don't know how this wraps up, because like, it jumps to a guy who wants to buy the book now. It just jumps to some random dude who's going to buy the book. But the person he's talking to on the phone is Corey. But Corey, they say Corey and his whole family are dead. So I'm lost. Well,
I'm very confused by that too, because like at the end, it's very clear that Diane is lighting him on fire as he's on top of the Tooth Fairy. So he's sacrificing himself, which they do mention like in like the archival footage.
Tooth gives you a choice. You either become her or you sacrifice your child. Like this.
Like montage there at the end that is an option.
Yeah.
But nothing comes of it. We only see like red lighting in the. We don't see any.
And they definitely don't seal him in anywhere either.
Right,
But,
exactly. And so like then we see a black market dealer just talking to some dude, but it is clearly Corey's voice. So who the fuck knows where they're going with this?
Hello.
Hi. I may have something of interest for you. It's regarding your research.
I'm listening.
I don't know if this is going to be the continuity for the next two films, but even if it would have been, yeah, you obviously know. I don't, but obviously, like even if they did, try to make that continuity, these films don't do anything about continuity whatsoever. So
I'll spoil something. The only continuity they do from this movie to the next movie, where there's not even a new Tooth Fairy, it's Diane as a character in it. That's
awesome.
your continuity. Yeah.
Yeah, because we needed more of her, I guess. But
I guess
the only other person who has talent in this.
If you're confused, it's fine. This movie deliberately doesn't make any sense. So we're gonna give you a drink to make you feel better.
All right, so this week's cocktail comes from our good friends over at ltalk.com. Because they say the phrase black magic so fucking many times in this, I decided to look up to see if they had a black magic cocktail, and I literally found something called the Black Magic Cocktail. Awesome. It's very quick to make, apparently. It only takes 2 minutes of prep time and allegedly 2 minutes of cook time. I don't know why you're cooking this, but whatever. Here are the ingredients. 2.5 ounces or 2.5 shots of black vodka. I don't know what this is. I didn't know that black vodka exists. I'm sure if you can't find it, you can just find some cheap fucking, dye, buy some vodka, and boom, black vodka. 3/4 of an ounce, or just round up to an ounce, whatever. Freshly squeezed lime juice. 1 small lime. 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, ice, and to make this all pretty and Instagrammable, you add in edible pearl dust, which you can find apparently at a craft store in a baking aisle. I didn't know that.
I have some of that at my house, actually. It exists.
So what we're hearing right now is John is going to make this later.
Yeah, why not?
So
right.
It says,
well, I know you have a huge list. You said that you have all the drinking games. So I'm not even going to interrupt you this time. You tell people when you make this drink and when do they drink it.
Okay. So so here's some fun, here's some fun times that you're going to have. First, anytime one of the fathers just does something either stupid or shows that they don't care about their daughter or their daughter's safety, take a drink. Anytime one of the daughters bitches about not being a kid anymore, take a drink. Anytime the book shows up when it shouldn't, take a drink. Anytime someone says the phrase black magic, take a drink. Anytime someone just randomly bleeds from the mouth, take a drink. Anytime someone just touches their teeth, take a drink. Anytime someone says the phrase candy, take a drink. These ones are plot specific. Anytime Corey gets thrown around like a fucking sack of flour, take a drink. And my final one, podcaster Sam or YouTuber Sam makes a comeback. And so anytime he says he doesn't want to talk about the Tooth Fairy, take a drink. And
I should also note that guy, right? That guy, his name is Sean C. Phillips. He shows up in a lot of random ITN movies. He's the same dude. I think in the first movie, don't they go to his website in that movie and he's there? I think they do. Which would make zero sense unless they're just watching an old YouTube video. But it's supposed to be like a modern YouTube video because he's referring to current events in that. Yeah, he's in the original Tooth Fairy. When I guess Lila goes to look it up, remember, Corey's 10. She goes on YouTube then. This guy's there. Now, Corey's 40. His daughter's going on YouTube. This guy's referring to current events from YouTube again. He's the same age. Fuck you.
So if you were drinking the black magic cocktail, you're definitely blacking out at this point. So congratulations. I have now helped you get through this movie.
Well, that's all we got for you this week. With Tooth Fairy 4, Queen of Pain. I'm not going to spoil anything other than the fact that the only continuity is that Diana's in this movie. But wait, we're going to have a great time next week with this one. Trust, because there's so much shit to make fun of in that movie. That being said, I'm John Maher. That's Will Cohen. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that shit. Facebook is Why We Love Horror. The TikTok's down there. Look for me everywhere. Monday is Versus. Wednesday is special editions of Why We Love Horror or Why We Love Horror Trivia. Thursday is Why We Love Horror, and then it's live. Though this Thursday is the 4th of July. I probably won't be live. And Friday is always Why We Love Horror Trivia. If you love horror trivia, you should be there. Again, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate your patronage.